You're listening to the Ballet Piano Podcast, lifting the lid on dance accompaniment.
Hello listeners and welcome back to episode 38 of the Ballet Piano Podcast. Yes, it's episode 38 already. My name is Chris Hobson and this week we've got a full house. To my left is my beautiful and handsome wife, Akiko Hobson.
Hello.
Opposite me is the effervescent Matt Gregory.
Hello listeners.
And in the corner with his beautiful purple shirt is David Yao.
Hello everybody.
Hello. And possibly you might hear today for the first ever time the new arrival to the Hobson households, which you may have seen on socials. Hazel is currently attached to Akiko.
Chris, can I just have my headphones up a bit?
Yes. Which one are you? Number 4? That better?
Perfect.
Wicked. There you go. There's a little sneak behind the curtain there. So, yeah, we're here. And this week we are talking about playing for men. And this stems from a message that we received on one of the socials, doesn't it, Matt?
Yeah, that's right. Somebody messaged us on Instagram. Her name is Marissa. I'll read the whole message, actually. It says, Hola. I hope this
Is she Spanish?
Yeah.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Qué tal? Dos grandes cerveza, por favor.
Oh.
Check it.
Love it. It says, firstly, I want to say thank you so much for this podcast. I absolutely binged it and taking notes, loved every second. A big thank you also to Jonathan Steele, who I know does your transcriptions and also publishes amazing ballet cards on his blog.
He does. Is that jonathanstill.com? Is that his website?
Yes.
I think so. Hang on, let me double check. I've got my iPad in front of me and it's on one of my favourites. Yes, jonathanstill.com. If you want all of Jonathan Still's blogs, ballet arrangements and everything like that, The Godfather is there and it's absolutely fantastic resource. So check out www.jonathanstill.com. Matt, back to you. It's been a long time since we've done this, isn't it?
Anyway, she asks a question and she says, I was wondering if you could possibly talk about your repertoire for men's class specifically and how you adapt your playing for them. I'd also be interested to know if David has any do's and don'ts choosing music for this class.
Oh,
Should we go to David first?
David, go.
Oops.
Do you have any specific requirements, David, for men's class?
Something with a tune and something that keeps everybody interested. If things tend to get too wafty, you kind of lose interest quite quickly. So that's what I would say. Keep the interest. Keep the tunes coming. Yeah. But there are times when like for adult or something, it's important that guys also get in touch with their sensitive side, shall we say? But yeah, tuneful always keeps everybody interested.
I think if I'm planning a class, sort of in my head, like we've previously talked about, if you're planning, your pliés and your tendus, if you're playing for the same teacher each day, you've got a rough idea of the class. I'll try and plan a bar that will include as many different genres as possible. So, say if I start with something that's a classical arrangement or a balletic arrangement by a rock band, say by Aerosmith or Queen or Oasis or Queens of the Stone Age or any of those sort of like more rocky, poppy style bands, I'll also try and make sure that I'll include something from the classical rep, maybe some Disney and a jazz standard and things like that. So try and take the whole rainbow of stuff that's available to us.
Is this for men's class?
For men's class,
okay.
Yeah. I don't tend to go in with the big classics of musical theatre for men as much. I wouldn't play my medley of Les Mis, particularly for a plié. I'd be more inclined to play that for a girls' class.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never thought
Same.
about that.
There's things that I won't play for a men's class that I'll play for a ladies' class and vice versa.
So what's on your list then? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
When I'm playing for men, I'm just very aware that I think it needs to be a bit stronger.
It needs to have some weight. I think it needs to have
Some
a weight
weight,
about
yeah,
it.
weight into it, yeah.
I mean, there's a funny blog post that Jonathan Still wrote on jonathanstill.com. And it was quite a few years ago when he wrote about when he was first introduced to the tambourine variation, Esmeralda. Da, 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 da. And I think it was Yoko Ichono, David Nixon's wife. They were working together and she introduced him to it and he played it for a male ballet class. He said, and it was hilarious because everybody got immediately in touch with their inner ballerina. And the legs were flying everywhere, and it created a fantastic atmosphere. But you can do that with the girls' variations sometimes, can't you? I mean, obviously, like David's nodding his head, but you've got to pick the right moment.
True.
But you can really have some fun with it. Like, halfway through a petit allegro, if you're not playing the reel, you're playing, other stuff, and then you occasionally go into, little swans, signets, just for 8 bars. You'll see everybody start to get. Go, oh, this might be fun, and then you instantly get different choreography and a different approach to the choreography, don't you, from your students and from your dancers in the company. But then you've got to be careful that you don't play that while they're actually doing Swan Lake, don't you? Otherwise the eyes will roll again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like traditional male repertoire. Like I was, I think it was before Christmas now last year. One of the teachers I was doing assessments with, he was asking for his grand allegros to be big and male and butch, which is what he wanted, of course. But he only wanted the B sections from all the bog standard male variations. So like your La Bayadere, your Don Q's, your Sylvias, Sylphide, everything like that. But he only wanted the middle section. Is it because I don't want them to? He's like, I want everybody to know what it is, but I want the middle section because if you think of Don Q, it's slightly more lyrical, isn't it? The middle section, it's got a different feel. And the same with the Bayadere to the main, it's slightly more, and I think it just
he just didn't want all the tunes.
He didn't want all that bit, so he just wanted the B section. I think because it reflected more the choreography and the port de bras that he was including in that grand allegro.
How did that work out then?
You just had to. I mean, Akiko played for this class sometimes as well, didn't you?
I did.
You just had to have them all there, ready and raring to go. Because if you're halfway through Don Q, then you're trying to think, oh, blooming heck, how does La Bayadere go? You're trying to constantly, you're second guessing yourself. I think I find it, actually, does anybody else find it hard to do that? If you're playing something, to try and jump, like, I can go from one tune to another, but if I want to jump from a B section to a B section to a B section of 4 different tunes, I can't, I've got to go through that first bit in my head.
Yeah,
I can never seem to go straight into the B section.
Because it's sometimes different key.
Yeah. When we were, I think, or maybe it was you who did it, and I covered one of your classes, I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Hazel. There we go.
She's full now, so.
Good.
No, because, and also like B section is not the beginning of the music. So just to play one after the other, you kind of have to think it through harmonically.
Right.
How you can
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit hard, but it does work as an exercise. You just have to kind of
plan ahead.
Yeah.
You can follow the podcast team by visiting the social media channels. Search for Ballet Piano Podcast on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter for up-to-date information and content about the podcast.
So do we actually think that, do we play differently for men than we do for women?
In terms of rap.
And in terms of playing style,
yeah.
Do you know, the first time I ever came across this was when I was a real newbie to this job, and I think I was somewhere in the East Midlands or somewhere like that, doing some IDTA or ISTD, one of those sorts of ballet exams with the old Paul Stobart music. And the teacher said it was 2 young boys in there, and I say, they weren't men, they were boys, about 6-year-old. And the teacher said, "Oh, don't worry, because the pianist will play it heavier because you're men." And I didn't realise at the time. I was like, so I just played it louder and heavier, and I put octaves in. So that was my first experience. And then there was all this play slower for men, a little bit, wasn't there?
I think the obvious one is jumps as well.
Yeah.
Where the men's jumps are taken a little bit slower, a bit bigger, a bit more space in the music.
I mean, are we going to reference Mr. Ballet Piano memes on here, where he wrote
Oh,
a
gosh, that was
fantastic
funny,
pose? Slower for the men because men do things. Men are
can't move
as quick as women, and actually men can run the 100 meters quicker than women. So check out Ballet Piano memes if you want to see that.
I actually have a question for David.
Uh-oh.
Men's like let's say, some tools and things. And then at the end of the music, some teacher wants me to look at them and finish together with them. So if I need to slow down, I slow down for each dancer. And some teachers say, no, don't slow down. You just finish. And they have to, finish with the music. And I always get 2 different, requests. And
They're 2
what do you
different
think about
camps.
it?
They are. You're completely right. They are 2 different camps, and neither one is correct. I think it's just important that whoever you're training or whoever's dancing and whoever's playing for them, you understand which page you're on, really, so that you both go together. Me personally, I tend not to want to actually alter the actual natural flow of the music and the tempo. I tend to want the dancers to actually react to the music rather than the other way around. Because if you're in an orchestra, working with an orchestra on the stage, it's very difficult to get 40-odd people to go the same speed rather than, in terms of following the dancer, rather than the other way around. One dancer actually going to the speed of the actual orchestra. It's much easier that way around. And it's good for the dancer to understand of how to actually stay in tempo with the music. That's a personal thing. But I completely do understand if you've got a bravura dancer, a virtuoso, who can pull off these amazing tricks. And of course, every now and once in a while, you'll want someone, and it heightens the kind of the drama to be able to pull out the music to really sort of like almost like pause before you both finish together. And that is exciting. But if you do it all the time, that becomes a thing that the dancer expects. And that's, for me personally, that's not a good thing.
And you see it now, don't you, on YouTube and stuff, these clips of these incredible male dancers, and that final button is so detached from the previous bit of music because they're doing like 10 pirouettes to the knee or something, and that final button is so far away.
That for me, that's overstretched, and you've actually lost the drama.
Yeah.
But, that's a personal choice.
Some of the big male solos, the big male waltzes, dun da 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 dun da 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 dum. That's it. It goes on for, and then you're right. Yeah, you do lose it.
It's lost. Yeah.
I mean, there should be, I think, a compromise. There's always that point of compromise where
there is
the music isn't going to get distorted too much, but it's going to enable the dancer to be able to do those virtuosic tricks, which is what a solo is about, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's like, look at me, here we go. Like, you say it to the kids and the students when they're doing their assessments, don't you? And everybody says, now is your time to shine. You are doing whichever variation, blah, 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 blah. Go in there, you're going to nail it, you get all the toes, you get all the jumps, you'll be absolutely smashing it.
But there's a way of actually pinching time earlier on to make that pregnant pause, shall we say, still be relevant.
Oh, don't talk about pregnant. Don't talk. That P word is banned from the podcast now. No more pregnancy chat.
I had enough.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. The kitchen is closed. Yeah, no, you're right. There is time, and there are ways of pinching it, aren't there?
I actually recently had a quite maybe first time I had this playing for boys variation class. I was playing
Pas de Trois, C minor, Swan Lake.
And then
Act 1.
The third section was the manage, and one of the students, he was very musical, but he wanted to go manage very, very fast. And I kind of followed him, and then I speeded up third section very, very fast because it looked like that was the speed he wanted to manage. And I finished, and then it was on the music because I speeded up quite a lot for him. And then the teacher stopped and said it was good, but the thing is, music has a flow. And if you go manage this much first, musically, it doesn't sound nice.
Yes.
So either you have to do fast and second section a bit faster, or you have to do manage a bit slower.
Yes.
And I've never had teachers saying that to the students. So it was quite
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done,
nice,
the teacher.
feeling as a musician.
Yeah.
One of my music directors, who was, I think I learnt the most from, I've probably said on previous episodes, John Price Jones up at Northern Ballet. We were on tour, I remember it really well. We were in Woking and we were doing Peter Pan, so choreography by David Nixon and music by film composer Stephen Warbeck, who did like Shakespeare in Love and all those sorts of things. And it wasn't my favourite score to play because it was effectively film music, it was written for that sort of genre. And I don't think any of the orchestra particularly enjoyed playing it. But he was constantly reminded, like we'd have weekly department meetings or bi-weekly meetings, and he said, we have to respect the composer's intentions and the composer's wishes, no matter what we personally think or professionally think about the score that we're playing or conducting. We've got to respect his wishes.
Yes.
And that's something that he said to me many, many, many years ago that I've always tried to bring into everything that I've done. Yeah. You know, and we'll say it in training, or we've said it in companies. You know, you've got to respect the composer as well. It's not everything can bend to the whim of your virtuosity.
Yeah. There's room for personal interpretation.
Yeah.
Within the boundaries.
There's compromise, but you can't
completely break.
You can't bend the music completely over, and yeah,
I agree.
But I think we've said this before as well. Like, the tempo of a ballet now compared to 30 years ago is probably generally a bit slower anyway.
It's a lot slower. Stuff
compared
now.
to when it was composed. Yeah, it feels like it's all very slow, doesn't it?
If you watch a video, and I think there's stuff on YouTube. You can watch traditional swan lakes from the 60s and the 50s that overall are probably about 10-15 minutes slower than what they are now, because of just how music has slowed down to enable the progression of technique, the showing off of technique.
Well, just going back to playing for men as well.
Oh yeah, that was the subject of the episode, wasn't it?
No, because
meandered off there.
Yeah, I was having.
It's not like us. Sorry, Matt. Continue.
No, it's fine. Because I was talking to Jonathan Still about this. We have conversations about this all the time. Because when you play for men's Grand Allegro, certainly at the company, it's like it can't be slow enough.
Yeah.
And we've said we get to the point where we stop playing tunes and just end up improvising. It just becomes chord after chord after chord, almost in a sort of grotesque sort of way. We're not really following any rule of music that we know our tunes. And so we just end up saying, well, for the last 5 minutes, we're just hammering away at the piano as big and as slow and as brash as possible.
Yeah.
And when you do that, what happens? Is that what they want?
That's what they want.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they want, double cabrioles, and it's all big,
but it's not music at that point.
No,
well, it is.
It is.
Not, it is music, but it's sound. It's not.
Yeah, it's just a wall of sound.
I mean, like we've said this, Matt. Sometimes you look worried now. No, I was looking at.
I'm trying to look through the frame of my microphone.
I know you look good through there. Sometimes when you end up so slow, and this, the teacher has subdivided the beats so much, there is no point in us playing, because we can't play what we know that actually will support the class a lot better. Yeah. You might as well just have a metronome sometimes.
For example, I sometimes will play the Handel Saraband for a Grand Allegro at the tempo.
Dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
But in the style of a Grand Allegro, but not really. Pretty much at tempo, maybe a little bit quicker, but it's that heavy and that drawn out.
I have taken the mickey when teachers have wanted it so slow before and played the Chopin C minor. Yum, bum, 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 yum, ba-dum. And then they got slower. Yum, bum, bum, yum, ba, 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 bam. Because it was the only thing I could think of to express my frustration of what you were being asked to do while still play something.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Do you ever play anything to really take the mickey out of it when you're playing a male class and there's a heavy atmosphere in there, or that we need, like if you're in the company, say, or in the school and you've got that first class after assessment time or after a very busy period, and you go like, they want a nice class, and you must know this, David, like they want to go in there, they want to have not the most work hard technique class, but they want to have a dancers class, so that you want to get on with it. We want a company class. And then music, especially for men, can lift that kind of...
Yeah, I enjoy being a girl for the frappe.
Yes!
For the men's class. Absolutely.
I will survive.
Yes. Oh, yeah, play that.
Put on your Sunday clothes.
Yeah.
What's the one from... Oh, gosh. I Am What I Am. That tends to go down better in a male class than it does in a female class. Yeah. Actually, all the camp tunes, all the ones that have got camp connotations, go down a lot better.
Go West.
Oh, Go West. I play that as a reverence sometimes, and the reasons, I can't say them on the podcast because of my mortgage. But apart from that.
But if you're playing for like a mixed class, are there any differences between like playing for women and men separately that you do in a mixed class?
It's more like speed, no?
Yeah, tempo. Okay. What do you do that actually? Because I go between the middle, so it'll be two slightly too fast for what the men want and then slightly under for what the women want, unless it gets to Allegro and then they split it into groups.
Yeah.
So then if you get like say 3 groups of women, 3 groups of men, and then I will slow it down, I'll just take the edge off for the men slightly.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I was just saying about the men's Grand Allegro at the company, the women can really get off the floor as well.
Right.
So they need it really spaced out. So I think that's grotesque in itself. And then the men come and then the music's even bigger and it's, you know, you're running semiquavers all over the place and just like massive count 1 and then crazy grotesque chords, you know, count 2 and 3. It just, it doesn't feel like I'm playing music.
Yeah. If it's for a training exercise, then it's valid, isn't it? But it's not that you can do that in a class and then expect a similar thing to be able to happen in a performance, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. There's a specific reason why you've slowed it down, then fine, for a short amount of time. But knowing that you're going to speed it up to the proper tempo is important, especially for the dancer, because they've got to learn how to actually adapt. It's really important for them.
And I know this from the rehearsal pianists at the company. In the rehearsals to piano, you know, they split the atom with tempo. And really, that makes no difference unless the conductor's in the room who will conduct the orchestra.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so just decide on a tempo for that rehearsal, get through it, and then once your conductor's in, you can decide a definitive tempo for your
Well, that's the thing about how do you want it. I mean, it's the age-old question when you're going to play a call or play a rehearsal for anything, be it variations or a full call. How do you want it today? Too slow or too fast? Because I mean, have I told this story before? I don't know if I have. You know, you can play it at, you know, especially if you're metronome checking yourself. Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, you can play the same tempo and it will be too fast or too slow. It doesn't matter because it depends on how heavy the week has been, what time of day it is, what rehearsals you've got before, what rehearsals you've got later,
which studio you're in.
Which studio you're in. Yeah, are you going on tour next week? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Like we had, I think it was Mark Godden setting Angels in the Architecture to Appalachian Spring at Northern donkeys years ago, and they rehearsed it to CD. But he was asking the stage manager at the time, he's like, "It's faster than yesterday. Have you got the CD? Is the CD player got tempo change?" Like, no, we don't have those facilities here because this was 2008, and those facilities weren't available.
Can you tell the listeners what you did on a certain summer school thing when you had music to CD?
Oh no, that wasn't a summer school. That was a summer performance. Yeah, I can because that person doesn't listen to the podcast. So whoever happened to be setting a particular ballet, it was ridiculous. Like we had a version. There were new versions every day, and this person, those are their pronouns. This person, they'd said, "Oh, we want it. No, this needs to be quicker," and then the next day it needs to be slower. And I was like, "This is just this person hasn't thought about the time of day, the time of week, the time of anything." So I just go away and burn the same CD and I just write on it the different day. So I put the Monday edit, the Tuesday edit, the Wednesday edit, the Thursday edit. And
that person thought they were marginally
different. That person
different.
thought that they were different and it worked at that time.
That's interesting.
I once sat there in the corner of a studio with my laptop plugged in. I said, "Oh, just bear with me a second. Yes, I can slow that down. Give me 2 minutes," and I come off my iPad playing Number Crush or whatever it was, Candy Crush. Faff around on the iPad. Faff around on the laptop for a minute. Play it again. Okay, try it now. Does that feel better? Oh yes, that's much better. Thank you.
That's what you pretended when I was giving birth. Yeah, you pretended that you were, you know, stroking my back to be supposed husband.
Did I? No, I did stroke your back when we were giving birth. When we were giving birth. I think that sounds like it's time to go.
Yeah.
La cuenta, por favor. It's fun being back in the studio with you guys. I've missed it.
On your own.
Nobody else has, clearly. Nobody else gives a rat's bumhole. Right, well, listen, join us next week where we've got an absolutely fantastic episode, and it's called First Date Nerves. If you've ever swiped right when you should have swiped left, this episode is going to be for you. So for now, it's goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye from me.
Bye, everyone.